would be great. All right, so we're gonna pretend to start class. Now, do you guys all know Miss Carnegie?
Hi.
Miss Carnegie is in helps. All we need is your laptop, your notebook, and your phone. All right, so you have your computers. Let's get them half, like an alligator, halfway. Your group roles today. Pencil keeper, right? So Namiana is our pencil keeper. Helper, Zach will be your helper. Armando would get us the handouts. Volume. So when we're working in our groups today, we're going to be a working whisper, which means that if I'm in Armando's group, you can't hear me over there, right? Our helper is going to help make sure everybody's following the directions. So the helper has to be really focused on that. Pencil keeper, what do you think they do?
Keep the pencils kept.
No, such a struggle. And our handout friend is actually going to come here now and get the handout. So the Spanish version is here and the English version.
Spanish version.
Then the helper should help. He's already doing it.
Oh, his favorite person. No. Oh. No. Why do I have? Fell asleep on the job.
All right, we've got one name on a paper. Two names on papers. All right. What is the biggest thing you can think of? Raise your hand. Biggest thing you can think of, Ivan.
The Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon. Great. Give me another big thing.
Eiffel's Tower.
The Earth. Mount Everest.
Zach.
Mount Everest.
Mount Everest. Good. Steph, did you want to share something?
Earth.
Earth. Excellent. Can anyone think of something bigger than that? Raise your hand. Bethany. The sun.
Hey.
Ryan. The whole solar system. Now we're getting big. Steph. The whole universe. Wonderful.
Multiverse.
The multi. Okay, now we're going Spider-Verse, right? So, when scientists are looking at the distance between things, like us and the sun, or Jupiter and Pluto, R.I.P., not a planet, when scientists are looking at those things, they have to deal with really, really, really big numbers. And scientists, like the rest of us, want to do less work if we can, right? We want to do just the right amount of work, not extra work. And if we're working with a number like this, whew, I haven't even done any math with this number, and I'm exhausted. My hand hurts. Like, that's what you guys would say, right? My hand hurts.
Yeah.
So we can actually take these really, really, really big numbers, like the distance between us and the sun, and write them in a condensed way, kind of like a shortcut. So it's called scientific notation because that's where it's most used. So scientific notation is what we're going to work on today, and we're going to work on starting by identifying what this is called. This is just a regular number, right? Regular numbers are called standard form. You probably saw that when we worked with our exponents. You see it in 5th grade. Everybody say standard form.
Standard form.
Okay, so that's one way to show a number. If I want to write write this in scientific notation, I'm gonna make it tiny. I'm not changing the value of it. I'm not changing the value of the number, I'm just going to write it in a way that's condensed. Okay? So I'm gonna start by identifying the decimal. Oh no, there's no decimal! Can anyone help me find the decimal? Go ahead, Bethany. At the end. Good. Sometimes we forget, and if you forget, just think about money. Where would the decimal be if it was money? Now we're going to count place value. Ready to count?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
How many jumps did we make to get to here?
15.
15. So I'm going to write the 15 down before I forget. And you should too. So, do you know how, if I wanted to do 378 times 10, what's the shortcut you would tell a 5th grader? Go ahead. Tell your tables, what's a shortcut instead of doing 378 times 10 with the standard algorithm? Talk to your tables. How would that change if you multiplied it by 100? Talk to your tables. How would it change if you multiplied it by 1,000? So you're telling me that every time I multiply it by 10, I'm adding a 0. What's actually happening is we're not really adding a 0. We're adding a place. We're moving the decimal one place. That's how that shortcut works. That's how this shortcut works. Every time we move the decimal, we're moving a power of 10. So this is actually 10 to the 15th power, because we moved this decimal 15 times. So this is 1.3 times 10 to the 15th power. Look how much shorter that is to write. Yeah, scientists, so much better.
How did we get 10?
How did we get 10? Excellent. Because moving the decimal is the equivalent of multiplying by 10, it's the same as taking 1.3 and multiplying it times 10 to the 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Right? So remember how when we did this times 10, we just added a 0? If we do this times 1 with all those zeros, we'd have to add that many zeros. So that's how it works. So that would become with all the zeros. Does that make sense? So it's not 15 zeros, it's 15 places. Yeah.
Well, what about all the other numbers?
Excellent. Excellent. We have something called significant figures. Does anybody know what significant means?
Important.
Important. Good. Significant figures means that we are going to have some numbers that are important. Which number do you think is the most important here? The 1 or the 8? Hold on, everybody look up. The 1 or the 8? Talk at your tables. Why is the 1 most important?
Oh, it's the one because the old one. Because it's the biggest number.
Say that. No.
Alright, so why is the 1 in this number more important than the 8? One hand. Anybody else? 2 hands? 3 hands? We have 1 at almost every table. Alright, what do you think, David? Why is the 1 more important, more significant to us than the 8 over here? It's worth more. Excellent. 5-star answer. What do you guys think he means by it's worth more? Can someone add to that? John.
It has a greater value.
It has a greater value. Excellent. the value of this is 8, right? This is in the ones place. We've got hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions. So that has a much bigger value than the ones place. So we're gonna take the first 2 digits. We're gonna take the first 2 digits as our significant figures. Okay? Let's do another one together. On your laptop, I want you to figure out the distance between us and Neptune. Don't pull it out. Find it and write it in your notebook. The distance between us and Neptune.
Write it down in a notebook or?
Write it in your notebook. Thank you. What'd you guys find? Check with each other. Did you get the same thing? I can look at it.
30 billion.
What did you guys come up with? All right. We'll get to that. So, what did you guys, Ryan, what did you get? 8537?
Yes.
Million or billion?
Billion.
Okay. Whew, that is a lot of miles. I don't wanna walk that far. No. Is this in standard form? Is this like a regular number?
No.
Because if this was a regular number, this would be like $2.85. The decimal's here. So it's not 2.85, it's 2.8537 billion. Or 2 and 858,537 10,000ths, right? If we want to put this in standard form, instead of billion miles, we need to actually use the numbers, okay? So, ladies and gents, this is a spot where there's a lot of confusion, so I want to make sure we're all looking. I'm waiting on 3 sets of eyes. 2 sets. Okay. This comma, this decimal needs to become a comma. Okay, now I'm gonna write the other numbers. But I need to make sure that this is billions. So, this is billions, which makes this, what'd you say? Millions, which makes this, and I'm gonna fill the rest with zeros. Hundreds. Double check. Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions. They only give us digits to here, so I fill the rest with zeros. Can everybody write down the standard form in their notebook? turn it into? Everybody.
Scientific.
Yeah, so we've got standard form and scientific notation. Scientific notation?
Scientific notation.
One more time for the road.
Scientific notation.
So you want to keep saying it so that you feel comfortable having it roll off your tongue. Scientific notation.
Scientific notation.
There you go. So we want to turn this into scientific notation. Anybody have a guess where we start based on our model up there?
At the back.
At the back. Why, Olivia? What do we need to put at the back? Decimal. Excellent. Okay, so everybody put your decimal at the back. And then we have our decimal, Galen. What are we going to do? Jumping. Excellent. And what we're really doing is we're counting the number of places. It's place value. That's why we're showing the place value change. So Steph, you ready to count for me? Ready to count? These. One place. Stop there. How many places? Write it before you forget. Yeah, good. So notice that the decimal is going in between the numbers. That's what we're counting. We're counting the places in between. Now we stop here because we're going to go to two significant figures, which means we're looking at the first two numbers. This is 2.85. So 2.85 times the power of 10. This is going to be 10 to the what? Talk to your tables. 10 to the what?
I guess 10 to the power of 9.
So here, when we made 15 jumps, it was 10 to the 15. So we made 9 jumps, so it's going to be 10 to the 15. Yes. Because we're going to, even here, we still have two significant figures. But because we moved it 15 places, we've changed the value. It's sort of like dividing by 10 times.
We're going to get to there. All right, times 10 to the everybody. Good, you're after Olivia. Now I said two significant figures, but I wrote three. That's because we have to check for rounding. Do you see how this is 2.85?
Yeah.
Are we going to leave it at 2.8 or make it 2.9? Who can explain why?
Because when the number is 5 and 9, they can go with 5 and they won't.
And is the 8 the one we're looking at, or the 5?
Plus a 5.
Good, so we're looking at the 5 and up, we round up. So this is 2 point what?
9.
So that's the math we're going to use for today in our exploration. You're going to get some really big numbers. The internet is going to tell you their place value in words, because that's how Google's going to give you these giant numbers. Because Google assumes you're not a scientist and you can't figure it out. So they give you it in the written version. You're going to transform it like a mathematician into standard form, and then you're going to be like a scientist and put it into scientific notation. Okay? Where are we going to get these giant numbers? We're going to get them, we are going to Google. We're going to explore the world a little bit. We don't often get a chance to really look at our maps. So today, we're going to look at the world with a little bit of a closer eye. You have 4 questions. They're here. Look up. 4 questions here. You're going to answer them on this paper. These 4 questions. Okay? You have 2 minutes because they're just quick questions for you. Lots of varied answers. I love it. All right. So we've answered our question. Which continent do you know the most about? We're going to do a quick survey here. So put your hand up nice and high. Remember, everyone has different answers. Which continent do you know the most about? Raise your hand if it's Asia, Africa, Antarctica, Australia, Europe, North America, South America. Interesting. In the last class, I guess it was really my first period class, no one wanted to admit that they didn't know that they had a continent they knew the least about. But no one knows everything about the entire world, right? So we are all going to have things we know the least about. And today's the day we can get to learn more about that thing. So who knows the least about, who had Asia written down for that one? Africa? Antarctica? Australia? Europe? North America? South America? Interesting. Has anyone been anywhere or lived or is from another continent? Anybody want to share? I'm not putting anybody on the spot. Anybody want to share anything? Yeah? Where do you want to go? Top of your tables. Where do you want to go?
I want to go spiders to read it. You don't mess with the spider or the monster land. I just want to go there and come back. And they have, I think they call it animals up there. I don't know what else is Australia. Yeah.
Did you like to get
I should go back. But we have to go up to Africa. I said to Antarctica.
Where did you guys want to go? All right. So now you are going to decide which continent you're going to do your project on. I encourage you to choose a continent that you know less about, because this is a chance to kind of explore. So choose one you don't know much about. Here are some continents you cannot choose. North America. Why? Because we live here. I want you to learn something new. Australia. Because it's one country, and the project needs you to look at different countries.
Australia's just one big region.
It is, and there's actually not everyone considers Australia itself a continent. There's another sort of belief that the continent should be Oceania, which includes all of the island nations in that area of the world. So you can choose, if you don't have to choose Australia if you are interested in that part of the world, then you have to you can look up nations in Oceania. Antarctica. It's mostly research stations, and this project needs some cities. Okay? So you can choose Africa, Asia, Europe, or South America. Those are your choices. Right now, make your choice. It says choice on your paper. Make your choice. Good. You're good? Yeah, you don't have to do the same one as your teammates. You choose. So pick a continent and write it. Do you want another? What'd you guys think? Alright, cool. Alright, so we have our continents. And now it is time to do a little research. You're gonna use Google Maps. Tomorrow we'll use Google Earth, but today we're gonna use Google Maps. And you're gonna fill out that chart on the front page of your handout. What is the first column on that page? Country. Friends, is it continent or country? Which one is larger? Okay, so these are the countries within your continent. Why do you think we have to spell the name of the country correctly? Kaylee?
Because there could be like, if there's a mistype in your spelling, then it could be a different spot.
So maybe there are different countries that are pretty close in spelling. Excellent. Any other reasons we should take the time to spell countries' names correctly? Yeah, it's someone's home, so we want to be respectful when we're looking at other places. Then you're going to look up the population. Google's going to give you this with the words. Is that what you're going to write in the next column?
No.
Why not? Standard form says Majesty. So you're going to include this in the standard form column and that in the scientific notation column. Languages. Do you notice that that word languages is plural? Yes. Yes, many countries have more than one official language. And then you've got the capital city. So that's what we're going to work on for the next 20 minutes. And I hope you'll find a lot of things that you're curious about. You can take the time to Google stuff. If you find something and you're like, oh, that's weird, Google it and learn a little bit. We're going to share out when we finish, okay?
Mr. Burley, can I go back on him?
You are an expert. Okay, so we're doing Europe? Alright, cool. I encourage you to find some countries that you're less familiar with. So use Google Maps and try to find some places that you're not as familiar with.
Would this be billion? How do you know how?
Yeah, so see how it's 10.43 million? That is where the comma goes. So this is 100,000 million. So you have an extra set of zeros. This coming in. Yeah, exactly. Excellent. So if we think continent is a big one and country is a part of the continent, so China is a part of yes, China, which is on the continent of Asia. So if you zoom out a little bit, the words in black, those are your countries. And this part of the world is
What?
yeah. One second.
Does Greece speak English?
The continents are labeled with the giant letters. Right, so Asia is this whole landmass.
They
But
speak
then why do people know because China is the name of the country. So China is part of Asia. Part of Asia. Japan is part of Asia. Just like if we look at the North America, there's Canada, the United States, in addition to all these other countries, but they're part of North America. It's kind of like we're at Tom Seabo's school, but we're in 8th grade. China would be more like 8th grade. Both school would be the continents. Okay, that's the question. Matt? The comma goes where the decimal goes.
Okay, so do I put this one as like under this?
No, you put the zeros after.
Okay.
Like this. So we had 2.8, so it's 2 comma,
Oh.
and then you add enough zeros to make your million.
Okay.
So, yeah, the part is significant figures. So even though the comma is after three, even though the comma is after three places, you're gonna get it between that one, that two and that one. Two significant. Exactly. I see. Right. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take
There's no limits, right?
these numbers
That
here.
is, that's millions hours, no, yeah, and then that's thousands, and that's.
And add zeros until it's a million. So 46 million, how many places do you need to add to make it millions? No, here, erase the 1 million. This is asking for standard form, so it's asking, the internet gives you this, it's asking you to write it out.
1, 2, 3. Oh.
So,
It's 6.
you put in a 0. Yeah. Yeah, you guys do it.
Official languages. Yes, because it's what popped up there. It's the same thing, you're just writing it out.
And that's exactly. Yes. There aren't that many in that country. Just right where they are. That's right. There's only one. That's it.
Oh, I thought.
There are other places where they have multiple, especially places like the counties, like the colonial addition to many different. But that one is just that one. It has many dialects, but it's just in that one. Yes, so they actually have the most different languages, so you should just write small. So, or no, country is China, Beijing is the capital. It's kind of like Washington DC in the United States. Right, the United States is a country, DC is And so when you look up the population, did you look up the population of Beijing? Because this seems a little bit small for the whole of China. It's like one of our most populous countries. But think about that as a capital city, right? That's a huge amount of people for a city. You, by the way, your scientific notation is the Google is lower though, but the scientific notation is not. Nice. How's it going, guys? South Africa has the most things to write. Okay, so now that you've put it, now the decimal lives at the end. So if we want the decimal, instead of being at the end, to be between the significant figures, how many times do we have to do that? 1 second. Alright, Pumpkin. This has to go in your green folder, because we're gonna use these papers tomorrow and next week. Your homework is to study your systems using the Module 7 checklist. Excellent work today. Thank you for your great questions and your hard work. And if you haven't brought in the paper, please bring your paper in.